Hello there. Are you in anorexia recovery and you're wondering, wait, what's my motivation to recover? I forgot. Well, watch the following video, like or subscribe, and peace. Hello there, my name is Billy Juliana. I'm 49 years old and I have a 40-year history of dealing with anorexia nervosa, and I'm currently following the recovery methods espoused by Tabitha Farrar, Kayla Rose Katecki, and Elisa Orris. And today, yes, I am outside, which means that I have all the sound effects you can possibly imagine in my audio circumference. Just enjoy, it's part of the charm. And today I just wanted to talk about finding motivation for anorexia recovery. Now you may be going, that's kind of silly. We're already motivated. We're watching YouTube because we need help for the struggle of the journey out of anorexia. We've got the motivation, so why are you talking about finding motivation? We've already found it. And I'm like, oh, I understand that. Stay motivated. That's my basic message, is just, okay, if you're motivated, stay motivated. But if you are finding yourself going, I'm on the recovery track, and I'm chugging away outside of the old rail yard that is anorexia, and I'm losing sight of my motivation, then hang with me here for a second while I put my glasses down. All right, so what happens a lot of times is when we start on our recovery journeys, we have a lot of motivation because this old network of belief system is just tiresome, torturous, and we're ready to be done with it. We're ready to cut away the albatross that has been our disease. And many of us are coming from a place where we're so starved and depleted that we have great motivation just to eat and to rest. And hey, that is fine. That is actually the best motivation you can possibly have to get into recovery and stay in recovery. But you have to stay in recovery. And a lot of times while we're chugging along the recovery track, that motivation that we had at the beginning, as we gain weight, seems to peter out. And we're like, wait, where'd my motivation go? What am I doing and where am I going? I don't know about this. And I relate to you on so many different levels, and I can get a little esoteric on this. Okay, I will. That is that anorexia, in a way, has been sort of a gravy train in and of itself. And I do mean the pun there. It has been a way of feeding myself over the years, constant feeding myself with all kinds of anorexic rumination, self-deprecation, worries about food, thoughts about food, fantasies about food. All of that has occupied my brain to the extent that I have lived in sort of a little bit of a dream world all this time. And while there's been a lot of onerous stuff within that dream world, it has served me in some capacity. Of course, I don't like it. It's not that fun. It doesn't nourish me one bit. Not eating is not nourishing. So I'm actually very, very hungry and ready to leave all of this. But once I start eating, I interrupt my old fantasy world. And as I start gaining weight, I get really scared and I look back to the fantasy world and I'm like, And then I look forward and I'm like, Because forward, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, and life has so many disappointments in it. I've already faced a lot of disappointments on the recovery track. So while this is pretty yuck, it's safe and I know it, I might have to go back. And that's when my motivation starts going kaput. I mean, it's gone. And I have to say that for those of us who are older, the motivation thing is a little bit more tricky than it is for the younger set. I don't mean to be ageist, but oh well. And the reason why I say this is because for those of us who are older, we have often been in recovery for this disease many times before. And we always get to a certain place, whether it's in our weight or in our lives, whatever, and we end up relapsing or going back to anorexia. We go back to our safe bubble. It is what we know best and what we do best. At least that's our perception. So we think that this is the best place for us, and sometimes it's very subconscious. It's not on a conscious level that we actually retreat back into anorexia many times. A lot of us don't decide, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to go keto. A lot of us just start restricting and start cutting back food, and then the vicious cycle just begins, and automatically we are back in the old rail yard that is so familiar. So I want to just say, keep your motivation simple.
Well, this is just a simple song.
That is, you just want to be free of the gravy train. Now that's hard, isn't it? If this is a gravy train, if it's something that's been feeding you, it's hard to say no to that. But you really do want to say no to it. Who likes gravy, by the way? I'm not a big gravy person, so I can do without that. Give me some mashed potatoes with a bunch of cheese on it. I'll have that instead. Think of it that way. Just keep your motivation really simple, because I used to say, I'm going to be a better person, I'm going to go and enjoy life, and I'm going to have all these wonderful relationships, and this, that, and the other. And then I would face life disappointments on the way there, and I'd be like, what the heck? And I'd start back down. So now I'm like, okay, I got to keep it really simple. First of all, I got to recognize what anorexia has been doing for me all these years. It's been feeding me in a really weird way. That's weird, and it hasn't been nourishing at all. I need to nourish myself.
Dinner bell, dinner bell, ding, ding, ding.
So again, we are keeping our motivation very simple. It's the best way in which to hang on to our motivation, because a lot of us, as we're going through recovery, we lose sight of what we are in recovery for, and we're like, why am I doing this? Because it's so difficult and so painful. So keep the motive really, really simple, and that is to leave the death, torture, and destruction of the old rail yards, which in some ways did feed us and serve us in the past. We're going to leave that now, and we're going to go out of it to liberation. And we're not going to assign any value to what that end goal looks like, because there are going to be so many disappointments in life along the way that it may make it seem like what we're going toward isn't worth it. Don't assign any value. Don't say worth or anything like that. Just keep your motivation super simple. I want to leave here the old death, torture, and destruction, and I want to go to liberation, where I can eat unrestrictedly for life and live in an unsuppressed body weight, no matter what weight that is. I don't control it anymore. My body will dictate it, and it will go to where it is optimally healthy. And I realize that this is so much easier said than done, but when you find yourself all tormented with thoughts about how difficult recovery is, and you're so fearful and you're so overwhelmed and all of these things, and you're asking yourself, why am I doing this? It's too hard. I've gotten into the normal BMI zone. I'm very uncomfortable with myself. I am still so hungry. I cannot imagine where my weight is going to end up. I don't understand this, and I really am not enjoying myself anymore. So why am I doing this? Well, you got to go back to your motivation is really simple. You are doing this because you aren't there yet. You're not liberated yet. And so you got to stay on the recovery track. You don't want to go back in this direction in any way, shape, or form. You don't want to head that way at all. Okay, so you don't start restricting again. And of course, yes, like me, some of us get stuck. We get to that normal BMI zone and we get overwhelmed with all of this, and we do lose sight of our motivation, and we do wonder what the heck we're doing, and we do get stuck. And I'm not saying you ruin your recovery or you messed everything up by getting stuck, but I'm saying it's best to just hop back on the track and keep going.
Leaving on that midnight train to Georgia.
And then reassess what your motivation was at the outset. Mine might have been a little bit too ideal, too many pie in the sky ideas about this awesome person that I was going to become and how awesome life was going to be at the end goal. Well, I'm not at the end goal yet. I don't know exactly what that looks like. I just know that I want to leave the and the yuck of the past, of anorexia. I just know that is it. I want to leave that. I want to interrupt all of that cycle. I want to take the train out of there as fast as I can and get to liberation. And once again, I'm not going to assign any worth or value on what liberation is. It's probably a lot better, but I don't know because I've never tasted it before. So I'm going to head that way and see what it tastes like. And on the way there, I'm going to eat a lot of food and check out what it tastes like too, because my body is asking for it. And so if it's asking for it, I gotta give it to it. And it's also asking for rest, so I gotta give it that as well. And I cannot control my weight. My weight will do what it's gonna do that is optimal for my own health. And I'm an older person, my weight is going to be outside the zone that I thought for all these years it should be. It's just going to be a higher weight than I ever thought it should be. So what? My basic motive and my goal is liberation. And I don't want to go back here, so just got to keep eating and stay on the recovery path. Simple. Hard to do. Yes, I do understand that. But whenever you're starting to feel overwhelmed and completely out of control, meltdown time is coming, all of this, just remember, okay, hold on. I'm just going to think about this. This should be really, really simple. Keep it simple. Don't overthink. And I know it's hard, but I can do this. I'm a courageous person. I've lived with anorexia all these years. I know I've got the tenacity and the courage. So what was my goal again? What was my motivation? Oh yeah, to leave here and go there. Am I going there? Did I eat today? Did I eat enough today? Should I eat more today? If I eat more to satisfy all these questions, then I'm heading there. Then I am going there. Then I'm heading towards the ultimate goal, which is liberation.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone.
Okay, so I think you've heard enough for now. You've had the wonderful noise of the neighborhood here and all the wonderful building that is going on in the background. Plus you've had the cacophony that is coming from me. Let me just add to that a bit though by mentioning that every minute of every day I would suggest assessing what your motivation is for recovery. It's super simple, right? It's to leave the old tortured state that you were in and achieve liberation. So when you are feeling overwhelmed and struggling so much with your weight gain and with the changes in your body, and you're facing maybe some life disappointments that you didn't really want or expect on the recovery path, just remember that your motivation is to leave anorexia and get to liberation. And it should be your number one goal. All the rest belongs back in the anorexia rail yard. Your number one goal is to stay on the recovery track and to eat unrestrictedly all that your body dictates for as long as it takes and not to mess with your body weight. So it may get fearful, but you just got to pretend the fear isn't there. Don't engage with it. Be very, very simple. You want to go from the tortured past to the liberated future. And along the way, have some fun with it. Enjoy your food and rest. Okay, now that's enough. Everybody, please, until next time, take care and peace.